Our MC wakes up in the body of an absolute loser of a noble Liam, and upon realizing that he is now in a kid's body, he freaks out. His father scolds him for making such a scene, but he's in a good mood today, so he just tells Liam to sit down and try to not be a disappointment. Liam still can't believe this is all real, so he is sure that he'll wake up sooner or later, but the next morning, he wakes up still stuck as Liam Hamilton, so he's just going to have to accept that this is his life now. A little while later, his personal maid comes into his room to help him get dressed, so Liam asks her a few questions and finds out that he's the fifth son of Count, and that party yesterday was to celebrate the birth of his new baby sister. Later that day, Liam is having a chat with his older brother Bruno to try and piece together a bit more about his current life, and he finds out that Bruno is the fourth son of the Hamilton noble family, but they are on the verge of losing their status as an nobility. Basically, there's a rule in place to prevent noble families from becoming entitled Karens, and it states that every noble family must accomplish something great within 3 generations, otherwise they will be stripped of their status as nobility and get demoted to commoner. As it turns out, the Hamilton family is currently on its 3rd generation without any major accomplishments, which is why their father and the oldest son, Albrevet, are anxious to make some kind of contribution to society in order to maintain their status as nobility. Bruno, on the other hand, doesn't really care if he ends up becoming a commoner because he's just a chill guy who doesn't give a frick. Liam is surprised by how nonchalant Bruno is about the whole situation, but to be honest, he doesn't really care either. He literally got here yesterday, so he doesn't know what to do with his life in the first place. Just then, their lesson teacher arrives and announces that he will be beginning their magic lectures shortly, and as soon as Liam hears the word magic, he leaps out of his chair and asks if he really gets to learn how to use magic. Bruno is a bit surprised by Liam's enthusiasm, so he tells him that there are a bunch of grimoires down in the family storeroom, so he can go take a look if he wants. But Bruno warns him not to get his hopes up too high because most people don't have an aptitude for magic. Even so, the magic instructor encourages Liam to learn about it because understanding magic is important even if he can't use it. Liam goes to find his maid and asks her to show him where the grimoires are, so she leads him to the mansion's study, and Liam is amazed by the sheer volume of knowledge present here. He looks through the shelves and finds a book about basic fire magic, so he opens it and decides to try it out. After following the instructions in the book, Liam is able to create a flame on the tip of his finger, which is really impressive for a first attempt. Liam goes to his father's office to ask for permission to use the grimoire library, but his father hates talking to him, so he dismissively tells Liam that he can do whatever he wants. The interaction was a little disheartening, but what's important is that he gave Liam permission to use the grimoire library, so he spends the next couple of days mastering all the basic elemental spells. Eventually, he learns how to cast the spells without needing to look at the grimoire, and Bruno is astonished because he can't use magic at all. He tells Liam he is amazing and soon enough he will be able to make a name for himself. However, Bruno is curious about Liam's motivations and asks him if he is trying so hard to learn magic because he wants to become the next family head. After all, that may make him a target for their elder brother. But Liam has no interest in the family politics of succession, he just thinks magic is cool. Since he has mastered all the novice spells, he decides to start learning ice magic, but while he is leaving the library, he gets called by his father. His father had heard about Liam's talent for magic, and even though he couldn't give a damn about Liam a couple of days ago, he is suddenly really interested in him. He asks for a magic demonstration, so Liam shows him that he can cast magic without needing to open a grimoire, and the Count is elated because he might be able to use Liam to secure their family's position. From now on, he tells Liam that he is allowed to use whatever resources he may need for his magic studies. All of a sudden, a report comes in that a particular man has appeared on the Hamilton land, so the Count orders the soldiers to be mobilized so they can capture him. From the sound of things, this guy must be a really big threat, but that has nothing to do with Liam, so he heads back out into the forest so he can practice his magic. While he's walking out into the woods, he finds a man sitting under a tree, and the man seems a little on edge once he spots Liam. He asks if Liam is a member of the Hamilton family here to capture him, and Liam confirms that he is indeed a member of the Hamilton family, but he has no interest in capturing him. He doesn't even know who the guy is to begin with. The guy is relieved that Liam isn't after him, but then he notices that Liam is carrying a grimoire, so he asks if he is studying magic. Liam confirms it, and since constant practice is the best way to improve, he's going to go practice now. However, before he leaves, the guy asks Liam if he wants to learn a more efficient way of using magic. This gets Liam's attention, so he asks the man what he is talking about, and the man shows him a technique that allows him to use 5 different types of magic at once. Liam is extremely impressed, so the guy asks if he wants to get a quick magic lesson, and Liam says he would love to. The guy is honestly surprised that Liam is being so polite since nobles are known to be quite the arrogant bunch, but Liam is different, mostly because he just reincarnated here recently. Well, anyway, in Liam's first lesson, the man asks him to try drawing 2 diagrams on the ground at the same time. Liam does as he is told, and he turns out to be pretty good at it, so the next step shouldn't be hard for him to master. He now tells Liam to try using 2 different spells at the same time, so Liam attempts it with a flame cutter on his right hand and a fireball on his left. After visualizing the spells, Liam is able to simultaneously cast them on his first try, and the man is truly amazed because it is extremely rare for one to be able to use this technique, let alone on their first attempt. He encourages Liam to keep going and tells him to try using 3 spells at once instead of 2, so Liam gives it a try, and it seems to be working at first, but then his magic suddenly fizzles out, so Liam gets disappointed. However, the man assures him that he performed the technique properly, so the only reason the magic died out was because he doesn't have enough magic power in his body right now to sustain it. Casting multiple spells at once consumes an insane amount of magic power, so Liam just needs to learn to control his magic a little more so he will be able to maintain the simulcast. For now, the man is going to give him a little lesson about the nature of the techniques, so he asks Liam to sit on the ground while he makes an illustration in the dirt. These are prime numbers, and the man explains that the multi-spell casting technique only works with prime numbers. He has no idea why it works that way though. Basically, you can cast 1, 2, and 3 spells at once, but if you try to cast 4 at once, it won't work no matter what you try. Right now, the man has a limit of 13 spells at once, which is unbelievably impressive, but honestly, he has enough magic power that he can easily go up to 16. However, due to the prime number rule, he can't activate any higher simulcasting until his magic power can accommodate 17 spells. Liam is currently 12, so the man is confident that with a solid training routine, Liam will be able to raise his magic power to great heights, and to help him with that, the man offers him this special ring. The ring is basically a massive grimoire and has all sorts of spells stored on it, so Liam can learn them whenever he wants. Liam excitedly puts the ring on, and more than 300 spells begin flowing into his little head. He can't wait to try them out, so he turns towards the woods and activates the wind shot spell, creating a massive gust of wind. He's really happy with how this turned out, so he turns back to the man to thank him, but the man is nowhere to be found. Just then, Liam's maid shows up and warns him that it's dangerous to be out in the woods alone right now. Apparently, there's a suspicious man on the loose, so she tells him to be careful about talking to strangers, but that aside, she came here to give him a grimoire his father wants him to have, so she hands him the book and walks off to return to the mansion. The man then reappears behind Liam, and so Liam asks him where he went to a second ago, but he tells him that he never actually left. He was just using invisibility magic to stay hidden since he can't let anyone find him here. That aside, that's a really interesting grimoire Liam just got, so the man offers to show him a neat trick. He tells Liam to open the grimoire and try summoning a spirit while wearing the ring he gave him, and when he summons a fire spirit, it gets absorbed into the ring. He does the same with all the other elemental spirits, so he can ask for their help later, but by the time he's done, he realizes that the man is gone, and this time he won't be coming back. Before he left, he wrote a message for Liam in the dirt and told him, "Keep training your magic and you will surely become a great mage in the future. And by the way, don't snitch on me. If anyone asks, I was never here." Liam knows very little about that man, but is undeniable that he learned more this afternoon than he ever would have learned on his own, so he will forever respect him as his master. A month after Liam first met his master, he has remained consistent with his training, and now he is far more skilled at wielding his magic. Just then, Bruno comes up to Liam. He is surprised to see that he has made white charcoal on his own. White charcoal burns a lot hotter than regular charcoals, and it creates no smoke. It is really useful. However, it is almost impossible to make without a special furnace and extreme precision. So he is amazed that Liam could create this much with nothing but magic. He also notices that Liam has a bag full of Lecro crystals, crystals that help one restore expended magic power, and asks if Liam made those by himself as well. Liam confirms this, although he did have a bit of trouble perfecting the technique at first since it requires him to use 5 types of magic at once, but he eventually figured it out. Bruno is glad to see that his little brother is so talented, because that means he will probably be fine on his own. As for Bruno, he's getting married soon, so he won't be around anymore. Liam is shocked since this is the first time he's hearing about any marriage, so Bruno explains that he is marrying into a low-ranking noble family. They have less money than the Hamilton family, but you will have more freedom there, so he's happy with the arrangement. Liam doesn't know how to feel about this, but he says he's happy for Bruno. And before Bruno leaves, he wants to give Liam some advice. He tells him that their father wanted a daughter so he could marry her off to the royal family and secure the Hamilton family's position as an ability. However, Liam turned out to be a boy, so he deemed Liam a failure back then and decided to try again for a daughter. However, in the meantime, he grew increasingly anxious about their family's position, so in a desperate attempt to achieve something, he sent out a force of 1,000 men out to go slay a monster that had been sealed away in the forest. However, that plan failed miserably, resulting in the loss of over 90% of the forces. Their father is still trying to gain an achievement for the Hamilton family, but personally, Bruno thinks the family is cooked, so he wants Liam to think about a way to live independently. Liam decides to take Bruno's advice about independence, so he decides to sell his products to make some money of his own. This works out great for him since the white charcoal is a valuable commodity and fetches a decent price, but he needs something a little more profitable if he's going to make enough money to live on his own. Since he's in town already, Liam decides to take a break at a noodle shop and asks for a bowl of ramen. The shop lady prepared one bowl for him, and Liam absolutely loves the taste, and so do a lot of people in town, but all the noodles here have to be made from scratch and don't last very long, so Liam comes up with a great idea to make some extra profit. After a little tinkering, he goes to see his maid and the head chef while they are making dinner and asks them to taste his latest invention. He puts a block of noodles in a bowl and tells them that all they need to do is pour hot water over it, and after they do so, it turns into a delicious bowl of noodles. Liam used his spirits to cook and dehydrate the noodles, so now they'll last for a really long time and can be prepared almost instantly. He is sure his invention will be widely loved, so he rushes to the merchant guild to sell it. But to his disappointment, the merchant tells him he can't distribute Liam's product for him since he is only the 5th son of the Hamilton family. As such, he will need written permission from his father or his eldest brother Albrevet to sell any original goods in this land. Liam doubts he can get permission without having to hand over the profits as well, so he gives up for now and leaves. And once he is home, we find out that Albrevet was the one who told the merchant to deny Liam's request. He can't stand the idea that his little brother is more successful than him, so he's going to do whatever it takes to stop him from succeeding. However, while Liam may not be aware of his brother's grudge against him, he's going to sell his products no matter what it takes, so he decides to take some drastic measures. First, he loads a bunch of his products into an item box he created with the man's ring, and afterwards he begins casting summoning magic. But this time, instead of summoning a spirit, he intends to use it to summon himself. Initially, this looked like it was going to work like teleportation, but instead he summons a perfect clone of himself and sends it off to a neighboring land. If he isn't allowed to sell his items within the Hamilton region, then he's just going to have to sell them somewhere else. Several days later, Liam's clone sends a message to him about all the recent sales it has made, and at this rate, Liam might actually be able to become independent. When Liam isn't selling his goods, he uses his clone to practice his attack spells, and he has finally learned to control the magic missile spell, so he's pretty pleased with himself. All of a sudden, he hears someone approaching, so he dispels his clone and goes out to find out who it is, and to his surprise, he finds out it's Albrevet. Albrevet wastes no time and immediately asks Liam what he wants to become in the future. Liam knows Albrevet only asking because he wants to figure out if Liam is really a threat to his position as the successor of the family. But as mentioned before, Liam has no interest in family politics, so he tells Albrevet that he wants to become independent in the future. Albrevet is relieved since he won't have to compete with Liam for succession rights if he becomes independent. So to help him become independent as quickly as possible, he offers to put in a good word for him so he can join the Hunters Guild. Later that day, Liam heads to the Hunters Guild, and as soon as he enters, all eyes are on him because the Hunters don't think a kid like Liam is qualified to be here. Liam walks up to the front desk to meet the guild master, and the guild master already heard about him from Albrevet, but he's still going to have to give Liam a test to gauge his ability. He tells Liam to fire an offensive spell at him with any incantation he wants, but Liam had never heard of incantation before, so he had no idea what the guild master was talking about. The guild master had been expecting Liam to be slightly stronger than average since Albrevet recommended him, but after Liam fires his spell, the guild master has a near-death experience. Luckily, Liam had the sense to not aim directly at him, so after calming himself down, he grants Liam B-rank status. Now that Liam has an official ranking, he heads out to complete his first mission, but before he leaves, he is approached by a girl. She introduces herself as Asuna Akwej, and she was really impressed by what Liam is capable of, so she asks if he wants to team up with her. Liam was planning to go out solo, but he doesn't mind having a partner with him, so he agrees to team up with Asuna, and she's overjoyed to hear that. She then grabs his hand and leads him away so they can get to work, but Liam is confused since neither of them has actually been given a mission yet. Asuna explains to him that missions are only handed out to parties that are A rank or higher. The rest of the ranks have to go out and slay dangerous monsters for a reward, and as luck would have it, they just so happen to run into a wolf monster. Unfortunately, it turns out to be an entire pack of wolves, so Asuna isn't sure they'll be able to handle this many. Liam, on the other hand, thinks this should be an easy victory with the two of them, so he asks Asuna to finish the wolves off once he has incapacitated them. He then summons a couple of earth spirits and uses them as bait to get the attention of the wolves, and once the wolves bite down, Liam has the gnomes expand to lock their jaws in place. And now that they can no longer move, Asuna is free to cut them down one by one. All in all, there were 42 wolves killed, and when they present the carcasses to the guild master, he is so impressed by their skill that he tells them he has a special mission for them. There's apparently an important person coming to this town in a few days, so he wants Liam and Asuna to take out an armored caterpillar that has been blocking the path. There'll be a disaster if an important person coming were to get hurt while visiting their town, so Liam is taking this very seriously. They find the caterpillar fairly easily, but no matter what they try, they can't seem to kill it. All Asuna's strikes and all Liam's magic just bounces off its tucked shell, and if this keeps up, then they'll never be able to take this thing down. While taking a break, Asuna jokes that the only thing that could get through that caterpillar's armor would be a meteor, but there's no way they can get a meteor to strike right here. However, Asuna's comment gave Liam an amazing idea, so he asks her to draw the caterpillar's attention while he gets ready. Asuna has no idea what Liam is planning to do, but she goes along with his plan and distracts the caterpillar, and once it is in position, Liam opens his item box and drops a massive boulder on the worm, killing it in one blow. The method was so effective, in fact, that they managed to kill a second caterpillar. Liam was worried there might be more caterpillars around, so he used his search spell after killing the first one, and sure enough, he found a second lurking nearby, so he killed it too. The guild master is so impressed with Asuna and Liam's performance that he offers to give them 5 times the original reward, and a couple days later, when the important person is set to arrive, Liam, Asuna, and a lot of the townspeople wait outside to see who it is. Liam's father and Albrevit are there as well to greet their guest, but for some reason, the man seems to have taken an interest in Liam. A lot of stuff happens and James ends up calling a meeting with Liam, but Liam has no idea why. The man introduces himself as James Stanley, and he wants to get straight to the point, so he asks Liam how he got Raymond's ring. He thinks Liam must have stolen it, but Liam gets up and yells that he would never do such a thing to his master. He explains the whole encounter he had with that man in the forest, and after hearing the whole story, Stanley finds it really amusing since that sounds exactly like something Raymond would do. He apologizes for accusing Liam of theft since he hadn't realized Raymond took on a student, but since he's here anyway, he wants to see how strong Raymond's student really is. He tells his assistant, Simon, to go stand over in the corner and asks Liam to fire his most powerful spell at Simon. Liam agrees to the test, so he gets into position and prepares to cast his magic missiles, but for an extra boost, he decides to use an incantation. He recently learned that incantation amplifies the magic power used in casting a spell, and for the best effect, the words used in the incantation must have some significance to the caster, so Liam starts reciting the names of his favorite idols. The incantation evidently works because Liam's spell casting is boosted from the usual 7 to 11 at once, and poor Simon over here can't handle it, so the attack breaks through his shield and he gets hit. James is impressed with Liam's capacity for high-volume magic, so he offers him a reward and says he will be granted the status of a knight. Becoming a knight means Liam is now independent, so Albrevit will probably stop watching him from now on since he's no longer a threat to his succession. Anyway, James knows Raymond really well, so he knows that Raymond loves playing practical jokes and asks if anything like that has happened to him recently. And now that he mentions it, when Liam was training to master his item box, he ended up using it to drain out the lake in the forest. But when he did this, he found a letter left there by Raymond. It was addressed to Liam and said that Raymond had wanted to give Liam 100 kilograms of gold as a graduation gift, but it all sank to the bottom of the lake, so instead he decided to turn the gold into gold dust and mix it into the river. Liam thinks it was just a waste of all that gold to dump it all in that river, but from what James knows about Raymond, there's probably more to it than just a practical joke, so it might be worth looking a little deeper into it. Liam takes James' advice and decides to head back to the lake to suck up all the water again, but this time he gets the bright idea to use his item box to separate the gold dust from the water, and when he does this, it activates a hidden door. Inside, Liam finds a note from Raymond, and it says Liam can have this maximum level grimoire as his real graduation gift since he figured out the riddle. Raymond himself was never able to master it, but Liam might get some use out of it. Liam takes a look at the grimoire and finds an interesting spell called Another World in there, and after several hours of trial and error, Liam finally manages to get the spell to work. The Another World spell creates a separate dimension which Liam has full control over, so he can open a gateway anywhere, and no one can enter without his permission. Liam is overjoyed by all the amazing things he could do with this spell, so as soon as he has the chance, he goes out hunting with Asuna again. They are up against a massive frog this time, so Liam first tries using his fire spirits to attack it, but that wasn't enough to kill the frog. In retaliation, the frog begins charging up its ultimate attack, so just before they get hit, Liam pulls Asuna into his pocket dimension. Thanks to this, both of them remain safe from the frog's electrocution, and once the frog finally runs out of energy, they finish it off. A little while later, they return to the guild with the frog's magic stone, and the guild master can hardly believe that they managed to pull it off. That quest was A rank, so he at least expected them to struggle a little, but it looks like it was barely a challenge for Liam. Asuna gets upset at the guild master because he keeps referring to Liam alone even though she fought alongside him. The guild master apologizes, but since Liam kind of did everything, he forgot Asuna was even a member of the team. He can see that Asuna is upset that she's so much weaker than Liam, so he does the responsible thing and suggests that Liam make Asuna his slave. Neither of them thinks it's a good idea, since as a slave, Asuna would be forced to obey any commands Liam gives, but then the guild master mentions the fact that as Liam's familiar, Asuna would automatically grow stronger in proportion to Liam's strength. And as soon as she hears that, she's on board with becoming Liam's slave. Sure, she won't be able to refuse if Liam ends up making pervy requests, but Asuna trusts that he wouldn't do that. And even if he did, she wouldn't mind. They end up creating the contract, and once it's done, Asuna immediately disappears. Everyone is shocked, but then she reappears behind Liam and explains that she just moved really fast. After the contract was established, Asuna heard a voice in her head that told her a unique skill has been acquired: Speedster. Liam thinks this is incredibly interesting, so interesting in fact that he wants to try it out again, but making familiar contracts forces obedience, so it would be hard to find someone who is willing to lose their freedom in exchange for a skill. Fortunately, Asuna knows someone who'd be perfect for it. They go to see Asuna's friend, Jody, and explain the whole situation to her. Jody's got nothing better to do right now, so she agrees to become Liam's familiar, and after the contract is formed, everyone asks her if she unlocked a unique skill as well, but rather than tell them what it is, Jody walks out of the guild and returns with 2 sandwiches. She then gives one of the sandwiches to a guy with a broken hand, and the second he eats it, his arm recovers. Jody explains that her unique skill allows her to heal people with the food she makes. Several days later, Liam is meeting with James again, and he informs Liam that Princess Scarlet is coming to visit him. Liam doesn't understand why the princess would come all the way here for someone like him, but James reminds Liam that he completed an A-rank quest and can cast up to 11 spells at once, plus he can grant people unique skills by becoming their master. The princess is particularly interested in seeing Liam demonstrate the abilities of his slaves, but Liam firmly refuses to do such a thing. James can't believe Liam truly wishes to turn down a request from the queen herself, but even though Jody and Asuna are Liam's familiars, they are still his friends, so he will not turn them into a circus act for someone's amusement. James can see that Liam isn't willing to budge on his refusal, so he tells him he can leave. And once Liam is gone, it is revealed that the maid that had been serving them during the conversation was really the princess. James apologizes to the princess for Liam's refusal, but she actually found it quite interesting that Liam is willing to go against royalty to protect his friends, but she wants to see if he will do the same when talking to her face to face. This was the end of episode 2. Subscribe to not miss the next part.